What's up, guys? Nathan here. Today I'm gonna be watching "What Is a Woman" by Tucker Carlson. I was learning about the all the Supreme Court stuff that's going on. I don't really know much about it. I want to learn about it, so this is gonna be my blind reaction. I'm gonna react to some of the segments. I got like another video that probably gonna watch, but let's get right into it.
And welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. In the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee asked Joe Biden's Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Jackson, what should have been the easiest question ever posed. Can you define what a woman is? Now imagine, put yourself in her position and imagine how relieved Jackson must have been when she heard that question. Here she stayed up all night trying to memorize obscure case law from the 19th century and court precedent. And when she finally gets to the hearing room, all the Republicans want is a recap of day one of ninth grade biology. What's a woman? For a world-famous scholar like Ketanji Jackson, that should have been effortless. Talk about slow and steady right down the plate. A woman? Jackson might have said, looking incredulous. That's simple. A woman is a human being with two X chromosomes. Ask any geneticist. It's detectable in a blood test. But if you're still confused by what a woman is, you can ask a doctor. Women have wider pelvises and different bone structures from men, not to mention very different genitalia. It's usually pretty obvious they're women just by looking at them. Women are built differently because their bodies are designed to do different things. Nature is real. Women menstruate. Women give birth and then breastfeed. Men do not do these things because they can't. Not a single man in all human history has ever had his period or delivered a baby. And I know this, Senator, because I'm a woman myself. In fact, that's why I'm here. Joe Biden nominated me to the Supreme Court because I am female, and he has said so himself many times. The president knows exactly what a woman is. If he didn't know,
I'm gonna be looking that up if he really just fucking put her in there because she's a woman. This is retarded.
many times. The president knows exactly what a woman is. If he didn't know, he wouldn't have picked me, obviously. So please, Senator Blackburn, do not waste my time. With all respect, that is an incredibly stupid question. Imagine if she said that. What an answer that would have been. Do you know a single person who wouldn't have cheered? We would have. Honesty is a wonderful thing to watch, no matter where it comes from. But that is not what Ketanji Jackson said. Here was her actual answer.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay, this is just kind of fucking stupid. It's kind of easy. It's kind of easy to define. You could literally give it basically any fucking answer that's reasonable and fucking respectable would be correct here. But for some reason she's saying that she cannot provide a definition for the word woman, which is a pretty easy word to understand. We're taught it from a very young age. It's kind of stupid, but let's continue.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
I'm not a biologist. I'm not a biologist, so I cannot define what a woman is. That's gotta be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
Ooh, I'm not a biologist. You following this? So only a biologist is allowed to tell you what a woman is. And Ketanji Jackson, incredibly impressive as they tell us she is not, she just reminded us, a biologist. Not that it would make any difference if she were a biologist, because no one in the Democratic Party cares what biologists think about biological sex. Biologists have been banned along with a lady who writes Harry Potter novels. In 2022, the power of science and literature crumble in the face of the trans lobby. So actually, Ketanji Jackson's academic credentials are not strictly speaking all that relevant here. But still, pause for a second and marinate in the awe-inspiring stupidity of her answer. What's a woman? I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably the worst answer you could give. I'm not a biologist. Like, literally any answer but that would have probably would have been better than that.
Oh, we see how this works. Hey, Ketanji Jackson, is it raining? I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. How would you respond to someone who said something like that? You'd probably give up and find someone else to talk to. That person was not capable of conversation. So last night we said we wanted to see Ketanji Jackson's LSAT scores, but that's no longer necessary. We can say with certainty she is clearly a subgenius and probably shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. What's a woman? Definitely the most revealing question ever asked in a Senate confirmation hearing. And one of the many things it reveals is how utterly the Democratic Party as an institution has changed in just 4 years. It's a mile marker that tells us the evolution of the party. So during the last Supreme Court nomination, you'll remember, we were commanded to believe that all women must be believed regardless of whether or not they were telling the truth. They're women. Therefore, in the name of social justice, you must accept whatever they say at face value. A woman's word is like a sworn affidavit. You can take it to the bank. Here's Kamala Harris to explain.
Let's speak truth about what we've all been talking about the last few days and again this evening, which is that Supreme Court process. Let's speak the truth. It was a sham. And a disgrace. Let's speak the truth, that it was a denial of justice for the women of this country.
How amusing is it to see Kamala Harris say, let's speak the truth? Throw a beer can at the TV if you agree. So to recap, in 2019, it was, quote, a sham and a disgrace to doubt a woman's word because by the virtue of their biology, women did not lie. That's what it was to be a woman, utterly truthful all the time. Joe Biden agreed with this. Women were very different from men, inherently. He told us so. And that's why you weren't allowed to hit them. Watch.
We, in fact, have to fundamentally change the culture of how women are treated. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it.
All right, so we mocked him. Keep punching at it. Domestic abuse, that is. We made fun of him, but he was onto something. Actually, what he said was entirely true. Ask yourself, two men get in a bar fight, one of them punches the other in the face. What's your response to that? Come on, guys, take it outside. A man and a woman get in a bar fight, the man punches the woman in the face. What's your response to that? Well, if you're a normal human being, you're horrified. Punching a woman in the face is not just a felony, though it is a moral crime. Decent people don't punch women in the face. Period. A man's best instinct is to protect women. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It makes a civilization civilized. That's why we don't send expectant mothers into battle. Got that, you degraded freaks? Pregnant flight suits are an attempt to make us deny our most basic instinct, an instinct that we should not be ashamed of. Joe Biden had this instinct. He noted it. He was absolutely right. Why was he right? Because men and women are not the same. We're not saying one is morally better than the other. They're morally equal, but they're different on the deepest levels, beginning with biology. Every person on earth knows this is true. We are born knowing it, but now they're commanding you to pretend otherwise, to deny nature and suppress your most basic and valuable instincts. They're telling you you have no right to be more upset when a woman is injured, when a woman gets her ear bitten off in a bar fight than when a man does. Are you ready to suppress those instincts? Are you ready to live in a society that won't acknowledge them? What happens to our justice system if we pretend men and women are exactly the same or don't exist? Ketanji Jackson's claim that we can't say who's a man and who's a woman will transform the way we administer justice, starting with our vast regime of anti-discrimination law. If we can't say for certain who's a woman, how are we going to enforce Joe Biden's famous Violence Against Women Act? Why do we have such an act? Who would care? How can we set aside a huge percentage of federal contracts for women-owned companies if we don't know what a woman is? Oh, I guess that scam's going to have to end tomorrow because it no longer makes any sense. And by the way, how is sexism even a meaningful category in a world in which sex has no meaning? Well, it's not. Why have Title IX, which bans sex discrimination in schools? If we don't have biological sex, how can we have discrimination on the basis of biological sex? Thinking this through? The Trump administration thought it through. Actually, they saw this coming. We should tell you that. The Trump White House tried to preserve Title IX by arguing that the concept of sex as defined in that law derives from biology, not from how you're feeling about your personal identity on any particular day. That's the case they made. In response to that, they were denounced as right-wing lunatics. The ACLU declared that, quote, the Trump administration is trying to erase trans people. Really? Maybe it was bigger than that. Now, the Biden administration is in charge of everything, and in less than a year, the worst, most fervid predictions have come entirely true. Female athletes are losing NCAA championships to men dressing up as women in order to cheat their way to victory. Every person in America sees this happening. Very few are brave enough to say a word about it. But here's one of them. This is a woman who happened to be watching an NCAA swimming championship in which a male swimmer going by the name of Leah Thomas dominated every woman in the pool.
I'm a woman. That is not a woman.
Can I ask you a question?
That is not a woman.
Can I ask you a
Do
question?
you have ovaries?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go on, then ask me a question.
Are you a biologist?
Oh my God, don't be ridiculous.
Are you a
I'm not a
biologist?
vet, but I know what a dog is.
We'd love to have her on. I'm not a vet, but I know what a dog is. Yes, you do. We all do. Even Ketanji Jackson knows. She's had a few children of her own. She probably learned exactly how the process works. The point of the trans movement isn't to convince anyone that biology isn't real. They're not even trying. That's an impossible case to make. You would sound ridiculous if you tried to articulate that, much less explain it. The point of this exercise is very different. The point is to make the rest of us repeat a lie, to say something we know perfectly well is not true. Yes, Leah Thomas is a proud, beautiful woman who won the swim meet because she practiced harder than the other girls. Leah Thomas deserved to win. Her victory wasn't cheating. And no, I don't notice her bulging swimsuit. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's what they demand you say. Not because they care about Leah Thomas or any other trans person. They could care less. Making you pretend to believe something you don't, that's the point. Because if they can make you pretend to believe something you know is untrue, they've won. They control your brain. So this isn't about trans people. It's about all of us, and the stakes are very high. And that's why the censorship is so intense. Have you noticed? Our national conversation about transgenderism is completely defined by censorship, by making you shut up. Not allowing you to notice the obvious is why they're doing it. There's no attempt to persuade you. There's no fact-based argument. You can't respond, oh, so men can become women just by wishing it so? Tell us how that works. Can I stop male pattern baldness the same way? Can I grow 6 inches? Please explain how this remarkable new power the trans community has discovered might apply to me. Can I do it too? The power of positive thinking. Well, that's a fair question. They'll never answer it. They'll just make you be quiet. Their first move always is censorship, and their second move inevitably is punishment. We learned that again last night when we were suspended from Twitter. Quote, we have determined that this account violated the Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against hateful conduct, Twitter wrote to us. The only way out of Twitter jail was to delete our tweet, to pretend we never said it, to cleanse America's conscience by just...
This is why you never fucking use Twitter. If you're a celebrity or you're trying to be a celebrity, don't fucking use Twitter, because this is what's gonna happen. Especially if you're a politician, like this guy right here, that fucking isn't a liar.
whiting out the past. What was our crime, by the way? Well, we dared to highlight 2 accounts that Twitter has banned, from Charlie Kirk and the Babylon Bee. There was nothing hateful about either one. We'd say look them up, but you can't because they're gone now. But both merely noted that biological sex is fixed at birth. This has been universally acknowledged by Homo sapiens for at least 300,000 years. So it was a factual statement. But on Twitter, as in our public life, truth is no defense. Twitter is now run by a man called Parag Agrawal, who has said plainly he does not believe in free speech. Agrawal came to this country as an adult to get a degree from Stanford. Now Agrawal controls the single most important forum for America's political conversation. That is a big and important job. It's not just a public company, it's much more than that. It's a kind of public trust that allows this democracy to function. So you would think you'd want a guy like that, in a position like that, to have some respect for his adopted country's core institutions, beginning with and primarily the First Amendment. But Agrawal has no respect for our First Amendment or our Constitution. He explained that openly in a 2020 speech. Watch.
Our role is not to be bound by the First Amendment, but our role is to serve a healthy public conversation. And our moves are reflective of things that we believe lead to a healthier public conversation. The kinds of things that we do to work about this is to focus less on thinking about free speech, but thinking about how the times have changed. One of the changes today that we see is speech is easy on the internet. Most people can speak. Where our role is particularly emphasized is who can be heard.
Oh, so the new standard isn't your right as a citizen to say what you believe is true. The new standard is achieving something called healthy public conversation. And by the way, this is not one man's opinion. You grew up in a country where people were free to say what they wanted. But now that political speech, in fact, all speech is disseminated to other citizens via social media, this is the guy who actually controls what you're allowed to think. So what is healthy public conversation? What does that mean exactly? We're interested. So we texted Parag Agrawal very first thing this morning, and then we emailed his office, and then him personally, all to find out. Agrawal was too cowardly to respond to us. So we're going to have to assume that a healthy public conversation is whatever Parag Agrawal wants it to be. He decides the meaning. In other words, a single man who has total and undisguised contempt for America's most basic values gets to decide what Americans are allowed to talk about. Parag Agrawal doesn't think you should know about Hunter Biden's laptop. That's unhealthy. So he censors the story. You don't get to see it. He doesn't think you should be allowed to discuss basic biology in public. We're erasing all science because it's unhealthy. So now you're not allowed to talk about it. In fact, you're banned, silenced, censored. We can't control Parag Agrawal, but we can ask, how do you feel about this new standard? Not so long ago, this was a free country. Now, Parag Agrawal and 9 other billionaires whose names you might not even know, who certainly were not elected to anything, get to determine the limits of your conversations. Are we okay with this? What happened to all the liberals and the self-described civil libertarians we used to have in America? They don't seem to be fighting the power anymore. They seem to have joined it. How about Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and everyone else who's constantly lecturing the serfs about democracy? Is this the kind of democracy they're talking about? A democracy in which a tiny sliver of very rich people control everything, including your mind? Doesn't sound like democracy. It sounds suspiciously like oligarchy, don't you think? They can let us know. All those people are welcome on this show anytime, including, and very much including you, Parag Agrawal. We promise a healthy public conversation. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to...
All right. Yeah, I think that's my first time watching the Tucker Carlson Show. Seems pretty good. I'm probably going to spend more time watching it on my free time. There's one other video that I saw that looked interesting, so like 5 minutes.
Now, Tucker Carlson, he's not happy about President Biden nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who would be the first black female Supreme Court justice. And he made this request last night.
It might be time for Joe Biden to let us know what Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT score was. What the hell did she do in the LSATs? Why wouldn't he tell us that? That would settle the question conclusively as to whether she's a once-in-a-generation legal talent, the next learned hand. It would seem like Americans in a democracy have a right to know that and much more before giving her a lifetime appointment, but we didn't hear that.
So funny, you didn't ask Amy Coney Barrett that. You didn't ask for that.
By the way.
You didn't ask for that with
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. So I hate to tell you this, Tucker, but
The thing is, he didn't need to ask because it was already fucking released.
this may be one of the reasons people actually think you are a racist. Because you haven't asked any of those questions. And if you really wanted to see it, you could have invited her onto your show and said, hey, I would like to talk to you. But see, this is not what you're really doing.
No.
It's not that easy. You can't just fucking, oh, I'm gonna go invite this person to my show. There's a process. There's a process to it. And just because you're asking for a specific person's educational scores does not mean that you're a racist just because it's the first time you've done it. And they just so happen to be black. It's just how, like, he didn't need to for the last couple of guys. or girls because they were fucking public and he didn't need to ask. But now he does because they're being fucking hidden. You know? That's just fucking common logic. People are just being dicks.
Yeah. This is more like,
Didn't Trump pay someone to take the SATs, allegedly?
oh, I don't know.
That's what-
but I know that
that's been alleged.
I know that she can hold up her background against any of the new folks that have been there for the last year and wipe them all off the slate.
Yeah, I know.
This woman is more qualified than pretty much almost anybody on the court.
This was just a racist dog whistle,
Yeah.
right, to his viewers and his
racist
fans, and it's
dog
something I
whistle.
think that black women it happens.
There's how. Please explain to me how it is inherently racist. It is not. He is literally just asking for information that should be public, but is not. There is no fucking racism in that at all. These people are just being fucking retards. I don't understand. I'm going to contract cancer from this. Honestly, bro, like what the hell?
Happens to black women all the time, right? Your credentials are questioned.
You're never
your
good enough.
qualifications. Never.
Credentials are should be questioned for any fucking big role, especially a lifetime position in the Supreme Court, a judge at the Supreme Court. Yeah, you should be questioned. But it wasn't a big deal for these last couple of guys, because they were probably questioned just as much what their credentials are. But now, because this person just so happens to be a black woman, it is now suddenly racist that we are requesting their credentials, and this is just fucking. This is like, so you apply for a job. You're applying for a job. They ask you. So let's say you're applying for a job as a cashier at like fucking Walmart or something. They ask you for your criminal records, okay? And you are black. Is it racist that they're asking for your criminal records and you're black? I feel like these people will do that same exact thing. I don't know. They just seem like the type of person to do that.
Never good enough. Your qualifications are never good enough. That's just the truth.
That if she was a Republican, they wouldn't be questioning her credentials.
Maybe not.
And
Maybe
if she
not.
was white, they would not be questioning her credentials.
or-
They question credentials for every single person who goes for that position. You are just making a big deal of it because you want them to have the position because they are different. Not because I don't know. I don't know much about the actual Judge Jackson here. But what I'm picking up here is that they are only trying to get this person into the position because they are different. And somehow difference is going to help, but really what we don't need here is what we don't need here is like what we need here is just normal credentials. We just need people who can actually take the role seriously. We don't need people to be a certain race. It is not that deep. Just fucking let it go and give the credentials.
Watch that
or
happen.
ma'am, because they didn't question Clarence
I
Thomas.
question his credentials
Yeah.
because he had to be helped to get into his college. I want to see his SAT scores, quite frankly. The CIA denied his application.
But you know what? But they're not.
I didn't catch that. Hold up.
He had to be helped to get into his college. I want to see his credentials.
Watch that
or
happen.
ma'am, because they didn't question Clarence Thomas.
I question his credentials
Yeah.
because he had to be helped to get into his college. I want to see his SAT scores, quite frankly. The CIA denied his application.
Questioning
Republicans,
watch that
or
happen.
ma'am, because they didn't question Clarence Thomas.
I question his credentials because he had to be helped to get into his college. I want to see his SAT scores, quite frankly. The CIA denied his application.
But you know what? But they're not.
are.
Then it becomes about him, and this is not about him. This is about what he's doing, and what he's doing is saying to people, she may not be qualified. She is more than qualified, and if you were really interested in finding it out.
Well, if she's more than qualified, then you're gonna need proof for that. or there's no fucking, if you don't have proof that you were qualified for a job, you don't deserve the position. Because all that is saying is either A, you don't have the credentials and you are trying to get into a position you are not qualified for, or two, you have something. You know what, never mind, I don't know what I was going to say. Continue.
We have all the information on her. It's all available. Anybody who watches Fox, if you want to know about this woman, it's right there for everybody to see.
But wait,
It's not hiding.
an LSAT is a law school entrance exam. So she's been practicing for 25 years with a stellar career, and you're asking for an LSAT entrance. Even a fresh lawyer out of college, you can confirm this.
The key word there is practicing. You see, practicing is different from actually executing. You need to, practice helps you execute, but executing gives you something more than practice. It gives you actual, like, experience, you know? That's the thing here that they're misunderstanding. Again, I don't know much about her. I don't know how much, like, actual time she's had as, like, a judge, because this is my blind reaction to all this. So.
I'd asked my husband. He said, "You're never asked about your LSAT scores. You're asked about your school transcript."
You're never
so
ever
what
asked
Tucker
about
is
that.
doing is even more nefarious. It's not just the unequal ask of, "Well, show us your LSATs." He's saying that the very fact that she's a woman of color, or let's just say a person of color, that she may be an affirmative action thing. So
That is
he's
exactly
going
what
even
he's saying.
worse.
It's a
what he's
racist
saying.
dog whistle,
what about
and the
the
LSAT
people-
is your easiest exam
What
of
about
your
the
law school
people?
career.
But the people who watch him go
Don't
along
know
with
this.
that. No, they go along with it.
But
I
they
think.
because they don't know what it is.
Well,
they have no idea what any of this is.
They do know that Trump didn't show us his tax returns, that he paid people to do a SAT allegedly, and also that he doesn't want his grades to be out there. He was president.
His
president.
stuff, none of his stuff matters.
But
this woman.
She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard.
He can't spell it.
She is. You don't give those away. Like
He cannot spell it.
You know,
she was a
listen.
law review editor at the law school.
She was
you know
a
how
clerk for
difficult
Justin
it
Bryant.
is?
She has literally
They
done.
questioned Obama,
She might be
too.
more qualified than half the
racism.
people on the court right now.
That's what I said.
Okay, again, it is Obama, president. You should question. You should ask an infinite amount of questions if someone is running for president. Infinite, like, oh, they questioned Obama too. You know what? They probably fucking questioned Joe Biden too, and Bill Clinton and George Bush and all those other guys. But just because they're questioning Obama and the fucking Judge Jackson, oh, it's racism and it's sexism and blah blah fucking blah. Just kind of gay.
It's what I said. This is why people may think that you're a racist, Tucker.
He did a racist.
We'll be right back.
People may think, yeah, the keyword there is think, but that doesn't mean that you're an actual fucking racist. That just means fucking idiots like this think that you're a racist. So, yeah, in my conclusion, I don't know. I don't know if I have to check like the actual like credentials here. I haven't really checked anything. This is just my blind reaction to it all. But so far I could tell I'm on this guy's side here. This guy's cool. Alright. That's the end of this. This is a really long video. I'm gonna have to cut a lot of this shit out, but yeah.